Welcome back to the House of Wolves podcast. This is your host, Deontay, with my friends Jalen and Josh. In today's episode, we got a few topics we're going to talk about today. We got the Xbox Series X again versus the PS5. We got new info, so we got to revisit it. We got that Demon Souls, that remake looking pretty spicy. And then we got that Watch Dogs Legion. And we got the AMD graphics cards. And then whatever else we feel like talking about to fill that time. But before I start, just want to. This is probably the first podcast I'm going to push to my channel. So again, we're gonna have a back catalog of about 7 episodes. If you want to look at that, you can always check it out on Buzzsprout, or you can go to Spotify, or you can go to Apple Podcast or Google Podcast, wherever you want to go. Really, we're everywhere. But I just wanted to mention that because this will be the debut first one that I put officially on my channel. But yeah, introduce yourselves, guys, for the people that's going to be new to the podcast.
This is Josh. Yeah, we got a couple of topics to talk about, more console talk, because they only like a week away, week and a half.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, buddy.
but
Yes,
it's
sir,
been a lot
yes,
of news.
sir.
I feel like since the last time we talked about it, because people actually getting them in their hands, able to show them off.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not just now. What up, Jalen here? Got a couple of topics to talk about. Josh's favorite game, Demon Souls. Gonna put that out here. And then just we got election day coming up, don't we?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My bad, dude. I just thought about it. My bad,
Yeah,
man.
Tuesday, baby. Tuesday, baby. So y'all only see this Monday, so Tuesday, next day, that's election day. So
That's crazy.
yeah, it is crazy. But yeah, so outside of that, really, how y'all been? Y'all been good? Everything good? Nothing's terrible. But we get into these topics.
Nah. Like I told you before, man. With that instructor, man, I wanted all the smoke. I want all the smoke right to this day. But other than that, everything's straight, man.
Yeah,
Everything's straight.
all right.
Yeah, same here. Trying to get work done so that I have more free time when these systems actually come out. But we might touch on it today, but we got extra time now since Cyberpunk ain't coming no time soon.
Exactly. I forgot
Damn.
all about that, man. I forgot
Man.
about that. 2077 just got delayed. That was delayed like. Anyways, yeah, let's talk about let's first go into something that actually was a decent surprise, I would say. I was always expecting it to be okay, but I actually quite like it. So, Watch Dogs Legion. Me and Josh actually have this game. I don't think Jalen did not buy this. But we've put some time in, so I kind of want to talk about my experience. I have the Xbox One X version, and the Xbox One X version works fine. It's a lot of jittering and like frame pacing issues, but really outside of that, it runs pretty well. I'm really looking to see what the Xbox Series X does for that game. That is one of those games that has a free upgrade, so you don't have to pay anything, and it's only $60 and not $70. So yeah, pretty nice there for Ubisoft to keep that forward for their fall release games, and then moving forward they're probably going to be 70. I believe Far Cry is 70. But yeah, I really actually like this game. I think it's pretty cool. There's obviously issues. I would not say that this game is not littered with issues. It's just that they are so, I don't know. You have to be like, I wouldn't say nitpicky, because that can be annoying, like voice and how they kind of talk and how their voices sometimes don't match the characters. But really, I think what the brilliant thing was is that they allowed you to kind of create your own team, and they allowed you to really just make your own stories up, and like make your own. They make stories for them, but you can just like create a crew of people that you feel like they have this overall goal or this overall like theme of your group. Um, yeah, it's an interesting concept because you don't have a main character, but they always, you know, fully customized in the cutscene, so you kind of feel like these characters are your characters because you customize them, you pick who you want to be in the main role, and when you do these missions, you're picking your chosen, number one player or whatever. So it gives you this feel of variety that you normally don't get, and it kind of minimizes the choice of how this character should look because you kind of have the ability to create them in your own way by just searching. And they have like weird perks and things like that. So that's why I like Watch Dogs. It's not very different from the original Watch Dogs 2 in regards to like gameplay. It's really just very similar to that, but at least this thing on top of it is really what's gravitate me more to play it often and kind of want to do a lot of things in the world because of this new system that they kind of built. What's some of the things that you kind of like about it, Josh?
Yeah, I didn't play uh Watch Dogs 1 or 2, but I just picked this one up just to see because I heard good impressions of the play as anyone system.
Mm-hmm.
And in some ways it's kind of like an approach that you go to like Sims, where you have all these different characters that you want to go through and manage, but in a open world, third person shooter. So instead of just always driving down the street, running away from the police and doing missions, you have little side missions that you can just hop out and do. Like you see, like somebody getting beat up, you can go over there and help them out, and maybe start a quest to get that person if you think like if they're interesting enough. And that's cool because it just gives it an organic feeling of just going around helping people. And so I've collected, like 20, 30 people, and not really played much of the story just because I just enjoy that sort of gameplay, like tracking people's down, following their schedule, figuring out the best way to like get their mission done without necessarily messing it up or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's pretty good. Otherwise, like you said, it's a pretty, I think, standard open world open world game. Like if you played a Grand Theft Auto game or Watch Dogs before, it's very similar in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
I know that some people who played Watch Dogs 1 or 2 are not happy because it doesn't have like a main character, but for me, it hasn't mattered because sometimes in some games like you don't like the main character, and so for this one to not have one, you can just find, like you said, find a character that you like to play with and have them as the leader of your group,
Right,
metaphorically speaking. Yeah.
because they're fully voiced and like they have, they are in the cutscenes and whatever you create and put on them, there it's going to be shown. So it's just a lot of things that you can do there that make it feel like okay, this character is still rooted in the story, even though he's like a like it's not a, it's like a it's one of those created characters, those simulations that come out and they just kind of run a system, and then that's how these random characters are populated, but you kind of make them and bring them to the start of the show, kind of. Speak to Xbox One's
Oh yeah.
that version. Yeah.
So I have a Xbox One S, and I'm waiting to upgrade to the Series X. But I was just gonna get it on this because it's not too far away for the next upgrade. Um, but playing the actual game, it already has issues. Like Ubisoft has not optimized it well, and so on the Series X it runs, you know, 25 to 30 frames. Like it has frame pacing issues. Sometimes there are some drops. Um, but the main thing is like resolution. The resolution jumps up and down a lot. If you're like inside of a building or something, it's not too bad. But especially when you're out in the open world and you're driving, like the distance is really low resolution. It doesn't have any of the, nice reflections or anything that the other systems might have. Um, so it's just probably the worst experience to have with the game. Um, it's not, I guess, not counting some PC configurations. But yeah, it's doesn't run well, which is surprising because I guess Ubisoft has been pushing like the One X version as like this is the definitive version, and for the One S to be so bad compared to it is like night and day.
Yeah, it really is. I was watching a Digital Foundry like video. Obviously, there's PC stuff that's going on too with it. That's like it's not really optimized properly. So they did the PC version and they did the Xbox One version, and they were talking about the differences, and they talking about how the Xbox One X versus the Xbox One, PS4, PS4 Pro. But yeah, the Xbox looked at muddy. It looked at like just bad. I was like, I don't see how anybody could play this. And it was going dipping into 23, 24, 8, 28, 26 frames per second often. So it was just bad pacing, bad everything, really. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Definitely not the best way to play that game. They were even saying that the PS4 Pro has a better experience because it has less frame rate tearing or like pacing issues because it's at a lower
instead of
trying to push to 4K. Yeah. Right. So they minimize it so it helps it become better at, the smoothness of it is better. So hopefully the Series X kind of, takes away all of that issues. I'm still I've been playing a lot of it, so I'm still going to be playing the season pass. I might, when Aiden stuff drop, I'm going to play that stuff. So more than likely, I'm still going to play the game. So I really wanted to see what that difference is. And I might be doing some comparison videos on my channel that might just show the differences between the two. I'm not that good at it. So it's going to probably be some side to side stuff that you're going to see off camera and not actually, pulling the capture. But I mean, at least it's something to show you guys to kind of see the difference of the Xbox One X. But Digital Foundry probably do it better, honestly. But I don't know what you think about that Watch Dogs, Jalen.
Man, don't ask me yet. I had to say something. You said Aiden finna be in that mud.
Yeah, Aiden finna be in there. He gonna be able to. They said they're gonna rework the story so that he can play as him as the main character, if you want.
Man, bro, what wasn't Aiden in the Division? There's a bunch of him running around, wasn't it?
No, buddy. You saying that you talking about assets being reused? That's different. That's
Aiden. What makes Aiden? He just didn't talk.
He did talk. Aiden talked. What are you talking
I'm saying
about?
In the Division, he ain't talked.
Oh.
You fought a bunch of him.
Man, you just said anybody with a bandana and a hat was Aiden.
That's what make Aiden.
Man.
But I mean, I ain't look up nothing about that game. I did think about getting it. I didn't even know y'all was playing it on the Xbox. So I almost copped it on the PS4. I ain't even finna lie. But yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised about what Josh saying about the Xbox One that's like running bad. I felt like when I had one, a lot of the games didn't run that good, and it just seemed like you had to have a One X for everything at that point. So, but I ain't got much of an opinion on the game though.
Yeah,
I mean, Ubisoft made it. Y'all know how I feel about them.
You played the first Watch Dogs though, right?
Yeah, I actually wanted to play the second one and stuff, but I just never got around to it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm over here playing Dragon Ball Z Kakarot and stuff. So, man.
Yeah, but no, it's not that bad. Honestly, I think you would probably enjoy the permadeath stuff because I enjoy permadeath, even though it's punishing. I like it because it makes me think about before I go into something. Kind of just makes me think a little bit more and kind of prioritize my people's life because I'd be like, bro, I'm about to use this B character because I'm not finna lose and then I don't have my character no more. So yeah, it's interesting because you could play it. You don't have to have permadeath on. It's just the way I want to play it at this point. But yeah, I like Watch Dogs. I think it's I like the Legions. I mean, I think it's a pretty cool game, and I think I'm definitely try to jump into the online, see how that works. But right now, it's not available. So
yeah.
But next thing I kind of wanted to talk about Uh, and this could probably be a very small conversation, but it's really about the AMD graphics cards and stuff like that. Because I'm not sure if you guys are aware of what they have done, but it's just kind of like they're undercutting Nvidia or Nvidia, because people hate when I say Nvidia. They're undercutting them, and they're kind of giving you the same amount of power. So they kind of announced their graphics cards on the 28th or the 29th, one of those days. They announced what their graphics cards was going to be, what they're kind of processing, and like basically the 6800, the 6800 XT, and then the 6900 XT. The 6900 XT competes with the 3090 from NVIDIA, and then the 6800 XT competes with the 3080 from NVIDIA, and then the 6800 competes with the 37 from NVIDIA. The actual 6800 is $50 more expensive, or I believe it's $50 or $75 more expensive than the actual NVIDIA 3070. And it's supposed to give you a pretty similar performance experience. So I kind of still think the 3070 is the better buy. But then when it comes to the 6800 XT and the 3080 and the 6800 XT, they both have very similar, and sometimes it beats the 3080. And that is $50 cheaper. So you do get very similar performance, sometimes even beating said performance on the 3080. And it's still at a $50 cheaper price, and the wattage is better. So they give you more power per wattage, which is really good for these people that don't want to upgrade their their PSUs, and they don't want to have to change their build completely to kind of work with these things. So they're really working to kind of keep the minimum of what you need spec wise, and they also just giving you more power. So AMD really did a good job. And then finally the 6900 XT, that was their high end graphics card that competes with the 3090, and that's the one that kind of totes the 8K gaming and all that stuff, even though it's really difficult, and they have DLSS to kind of help that. This one here is like the big boy, and theirs is still at the 300 watt power usage, and it also is beating at some point the 3090, or it has a very similar performance of the 3090, and it's $500 cheaper. So they ain't playing no games. Basically, they just kind of undercut them in a lot of ways, where AMD is the only company that can say that they make CPUs and GPUs, and they're kind of leveraging that now. They kind of have this they call it, they so whack. It's called rage mode, where you can it's called rage mode, and then there's this other mode where the CPU and the GPU kind of talks to each other. They are both AMD, and they're in the 5000 series, and they kind of have the ability to use some of the power of the CPU for the GPU, and vice versa. So it kind of gives them a better percentage of a higher, clock speeds. I forget everything that it does, but basically it makes it stronger and have a better performance output. Obviously NVIDIA doesn't make their own CPU, so they can't really leverage that. But AMD can. Obviously AMD is implementing ray tracing in theirs. It's and things like that, and they have this super resolution that's kind of similar to DLSS, where they kind of shade and create the image out of a lower image to kind of give you a better performance boost. So they're doing what they need to do, and then they have their Fidelity FX mode, kind of similar to the DLS mode, and all the functions and features that come along with NVIDIA. They have 35 games already confirmed that kind of uses these modes and kind of give you more performance. So I think what AMD is doing is the smarter move. I think that they have obviously just waited. Everybody was so happy with NVIDIA doing like what they did, and then now AMD comes out and just blows them out the water kind of deal. where they're cheaper, stronger, and hopefully more available. I really hope they're going to be more available than it was for the NVIDIA cards. I believe they come out November 18th and December 8th. So the 6900 XT comes out December 8th. That's the big boy. And then the 6800 and the 6800 XT comes out November 18th. And those will probably be, again, those are probably going to be the ones that sell the most because they are the lower ends. And I think the better buy, honestly, because they're so close. I believe it's, what's the difference? I can't even remember the difference in price. I believe it's $650 and $579. Why not just pay for the extra money and kind of go for the bigger, the better GPU? So they made it really close that sometimes people will just be like, well, I might as well just get the 6800 XT and kind of get more performance. So I think they did the smart move, and I think that they're gonna succeed at this, because at first, that when I bought my Radeon 7, they wasn't even close to the 2080 Ti. Now they are like on their brand new GPUs they announced last month, and they beating them in some categories, and they cheaper. Oh, it's gonna be ridiculous. AMD gonna finally get the W when it comes to GPU space, because NVIDIA can't deliver on their promise of getting GPUs to people, and they couldn't buy none. I still haven't been able to get one of those cards, and they haven't been readily available for anyone to purchase. And if AMD can just solve that issue and kind of have more available, then that's a recipe for a win right there. Easy money. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because it's pretty big. It's something that shows that what they're going to be able to do with the PS5 and the Series X coming into the new consoles, because they are both AMD processors. I believe their GPUs are the same as well. They're both AMD and CPUs and not the CPUs, but the GPUs is kind of the same thing where it comes from that AMD. I believe the processors too. If it's not RDNA, I don't know. Honestly, I forget. But I believe they're running some type of form of AMD at least. But have you heard, or have y'all have anything on opinions on that, or have you heard anything about that?
I didn't see anything about the AMD cards because I was busy this week, but it does sound pretty good because AMD was in a situation where they're starting they're playing catch up to NVIDIA in some cases, because they've always been behind in the GPU space as far as market share. And over the past generation, NVIDIA has proven a lot of their technology, like the DLSS. It has been something that's really been growing over the last couple years, and AMD didn't have like a real competitor to that sort of technology, and so now they have, they're showing off theirs. So really, I just think, over the next couple years, once these big games come out, that people can really start to compare them, you'll see that maybe AMD, they took a little bit longer, but they got the better product out or something like that.
And they're really winning when it comes to the VRAM too. Their cards are 16 gigs throughout, while NVIDIA is kind of have that 8 gig, and sometimes like Watch Dogs as of now is kind of becoming a VRAM hog. So these newer games might be more relying on the that 16 gigabytes of VRAM that the other GPUs might not be able to succeed at. So it really just depends. I know that a lot of people were looking at that too, like, yeah, that's nice. So it's just a lot of things that they were doing right, and it seemed like they were future proofing a few things, and they're using DirectX 12, Microsoft DirectX 12 ray tracing versus having like an actual processor built into the GPU to kind of handle it, like NVIDIA is doing. So And these are the ones that are going to be using. They're going to be very similar to the systems that we're going to be seeing a lot of ray tracing on. So I'm pretty sure the optimization might be better there versus on the Nvidias. And then people's actually developers taking on that and like using it more is probably going to be used more on AMD side versus how they use it on Nvidia side for optimization purposes only. It might run on it, but it might not be as optimized as on the AMD cards. So time will tell. I think both of them. It's really good to be just a gamer in general because they have a lot of options out there, and yeah, you could be a PC player, you could be a system player, but you got AMD gonna get your money at some point. So yeah, if you're into stocks, you know what to do, baby. You know what to do. But yeah, I thought they did a really good job. But moving forward here, because it really wasn't much to talk about there. PS5 and the Series X, people, they coming. Oh, buddy, they coming at
you got your money ready, Jalen? You gonna be there?
Jalen, man, you gotta go ahead and get one.
Man, I ain't get my unemployment money, so I can't get it.
Number one in line already.
Number one in line, cause I'm number one already.
Dog, tell me why I was watching that yesterday, man. I watched that clip.
Don't play.
He said, "I'm the." What did he say? He said, "I'm number one already." He said, "The early bird gets the bird." He said, "The early bird gets the worm," and I'm the early bird.
early bird.
That's why he got the worm.
That's
then he
why I
added
get
that.
the word. Number one in line. Number one already. That boy, Jarvis Johnson don't play. He switched over to fries. I don't know why Best Buy did him like that.
And they did do him bold, didn't they?
He did a bold. That boy got a Best Buy tattoo and everything.
I forgot about that.
Yes, bro. Boy got
got
a Best Buy tattoo and they played him. He used to be number one in line every time.
Hey, remember he had that random kid at Wardo? Huh? It's my friend at Wardo. Yeah. I was like, bro, what?
And I'm really, really nice. I was trying to get some TV time.
Fine, 49.
Bro, dog, I'm mad she went up in there. He's like, welcome to my crib. Bro.
That boy had the whole setup and a random kid
just
spawned in there at Wardo.
He had an Xbox, didn't he?
Man, he had everything in that mug, bro. I was like, bro, don't you got a wife and kids? I had him on Facebook, man. You know I added him after that. Oh my god.
Jarvis Johnson don't play. But yeah. Best Buy actually sent me my they told me to come up there. They said they sent me my confirmations for my PS5 and the Series X. I got both of them from Best Buy. And I got them to be able to pick them up. So they said, hey, we got some slots. Pick your slot now. I got the earliest slot, which is 6 a.m. in the morning. I got those days off, so don't worry. I'm not tripping.
The early bird gets the worm.
Earlier bird. But yeah, 6 a.m. boys. I'm pretty sure they're going to let me pick up my games, too. I hope it doesn't have me come back for my games. They only can get the PlayStation 5. That'd be slow. So I'm going to be able to get my games and that. So hopefully I have a video up pretty shortly after. Because I ain't got to wait on no slow UPS driver or no slow FedEx driver. I can go pick up my stuff when they get it in the warehouse or at the store. But yeah. So a lot of stuff came out. Well, you getting yours from in the mail, right, Josh? Microsoft? You got it from Microsoft, right?
Yeah, I'm just get it from Microsoft. Okay. So I don't have to deal with lines because the nearest Best Buy to me is like Manhattan, and I'm not trying to go all the way there.
Gotcha. And Jalen playing, he ain't getting one yet. He
unemployment, man.
Man, he gonna get one on the 10th.
Yeah, man. You gotta go up there and just drop them racks. Got racks on racks. You just drop it on the thing, man.
Put it on my Best Buy card, please.
Put it on my Best Buy card, right? You know you got that. You know I'm good for it. You gotta let them know. You know I'm good for it.
Man. Y'all
I
know I
used to
can't.
work here. It's like, hey, little John, tell them about me.
Hey, well, who is this man? And why if you know who this man is, you lost your job.
Right,
Pick,
man.
pick or choose.
Don't they be getting them in and out of them seasonal jobs, bro. But
Josh
yeah,
a
so
seasonal expert.
yeah, yeah, and they be pretending. But yeah, I mean, I'm ready for them. That means a bunch of new information that came out about them, about the DualSense, about how the unboxing experience, what it looks like, how it looks in next to something else, how big the PS5 is. The Series X, we kind of was an open book really at this point. We saw it broken down. But the PS5, it got their teardown video finally. We got the unboxing video. We got the DualSense video. No real hands-on with like PS5 games outside of Astro's Playroom, but we got a better picture of what you're going to be able to experience day one on the PS5. And what's some, I guess, because I know I'm getting one, and I know y'all not getting one. What are you seeing on the PS5 that's like at least interesting as of now that you kind of see? If you don't have anything, that's fine too. But just talk to me about that.
I mean, I think the system overall seems fine. Like it looks good. It's obviously an upgrade from the PS4. Uh, it seems way too big, and I wish it came in black, but it's a decent system.
Hmm.
Obviously has a real big fan in it, and the PS4 Pro has had issues with like getting hot and the fan running too loud. And so it seems like they really took the time to like fix those issues,
Yeah.
which is good. You always want improvement in the actual hardware. Um, the controller, people are saying like it's a good controller. I personally just want to feel it myself because I understand haptics like feel good, but just the overall quality of it and if I like it more. Because I've gotten used to using the PS4 and like PS3 controllers, like that's how they've always been, but I've never liked them. And so maybe this is a controller that I will actually like, but I still prefer like the Xbox style controller. But we'll see once I actually try it. Otherwise, yeah, like there hasn't been any real uh, a lot of gameplay for a variety of I could say PS5 games.
Hmm.
Like I don't care about the Astro's Playroom or anything like that. Like we'll see some Spider-Man and things like that, but I feel like that's a game that looks good, but it's really just like watching a trailer when you're watching like people's preview video of it because you don't actually get to experience it yourself. So I guess there's a lot of like hands-on that I would like to see with it personally.
Right. What about you, Jalen? Anything?
Uh, I mean, I don't like the fact that it's white. Like Josh said, I mean, it's just going to be a system sitting around collecting dust and stuff. And um, but I mean, I guess if they fix like the fan thingy, because I hate when I cut on Call of Duty and my fan just like, hey, bro, we gotta turn it up now. So
Take off.
yeah, we gotta take flight. You know what's next. But other than that, I mean, I don't really care too much for like the hardware and stuff like that. I see how the controller is. I don't know like the weight and how it feel and stuff like that. I feel like that's a big if. I remember I had an issue adjusting to playing FPS games on a PS4 because I was used to playing on the 360 all the time,
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
the thumb
The weight.
placement and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
The weight
so
distribution is a little weird too. Yeah, it could definitely throw you off.
yeah, so but I mean, I got used to it. I feel like the PS4 controller pretty nice. Um, but as far as like the PS5 and stuff, I have to feel it. I think the biggest concern for me would be the controller. And then the cleanliness of it with it being white. Josh said it's big. I don't know the actual dimensions in comparison to the PS4 or how it sits. Do it need to stand up or can it lay like
No,
horizontal?
it's huge. Like it, if you look at pictures of it, people saying it's like 3 game cubes tall.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
dang.
pretty big.
So if for me, I got a little shelf from IKEA. Like it can fit, but it's gonna have to be sideways, and it's gonna take up a bunch of space. But I don't know if I want to put it in there because it's it's a shelf, and the dust and stuff is gonna get caught in the shelf. But it literally is too big to put on top of the TV stand. So it's just gonna depend. You're gonna need a lot of room to fit it somewhere.
Yeah, I
Okay,
literally
okay.
went to Amazon and bought this one that has like these weird uh ergonomics, if that's the right word. It has like weird shelving and how it works because there's like a lot of openings and like it's like built to be able to fit multiple things inside of it. So I'm gonna put my PS5 horizontal still. I could put it up tall. If it looks better up tall, I might do that. But honestly, I'd rather have it horizontal so it doesn't accidentally get kicked over or knocked over or something because it's so freaking big. And then I'm gonna have my Series X in this other slot where it's gonna stand up tall because I hate how the Series X looks laying down. It looks like a log, to be
Mm.
honest. So yeah, I actually went out and bought a TV stand just because I knew it was gonna look stupid, and I wanted to make sure the my office slash guest room didn't look stupid when people come over. So I went out and got that, and I seen y'all pictures so you can see it. But it was on Amazon. It was like 150, but it at least it looks good and it's white. So the PlayStation should blend right in at least. With the design, yes, I feel like at first I was digging it when I first saw it, but now it just looks like two pieces of paper, and I'm just like, I don't know, man, this thing looks pretty stupid. But what I will say is it's striking. People will know it. If they probably wouldn't notice my Series X, but they gonna notice that PS5 regardless. It's way too big. It's way too, or it's just way too out there, for
Yeah.
not to be noticed when people come over. They're gonna be like, "Oh, you got the PS5." I'm like, "Yep," but I also got Series X sitting right there. You're gonna probably be like, "Oh yeah, I ain't even noticed." That's probably what's gonna happen. But yeah. So I prefer Series X's minimalistic design more, but I definitely think the eye catcher is going to be the PS5 because of how striking it is, and plus, hopefully, it's a lot of customization that comes into play with the removing the plates on the side and kind of I seen like Dave 2D, he already like painted his or put some skins on it, so I definitely want to see how that kind of comes and plays out with the skins, or maybe even like having them completely just changed out and you just have two different sides on it. I want to see how that all works. So I think
Hmm.
it'd be cool to customize it and make it your own. Series X, you could throw some stickers on it if you want, but you don't really need to do that. It's just like plain and simple. But I guess the next thing I want to talk about is because I know you kind of touched on it. We have gotten some previews at least. Demon Souls, just a preview of the gameplay, how it looks, and then because we gonna talk about Demon Souls. We talking about right now just like previewing of the gameplay of what we saw. And then I saw Gears 5 optimized for the Series X, and then we had dropped a video for Watch Dogs Legion optimized for Series X, and it has like ray tracing and all that stuff, and the fidelity and all that. Um, I was pretty impressed. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm pretty impressed with how Demon Souls looks on, even though Demon Souls has a very how would you say, bare minimum type experience to me. It has a very simplistic, straightforward kind of design. I think Blue Point took it up a notch in how they kind of delivered what they were trying to express in like a more modern way. And like the reflections, the amount of details when it comes to when you're throwing fireballs down the corridor, and like the ambient lighting, and how light bounces off of that, and how you can see the rays of light coming through the ceiling. I think they really did a pretty good job. And I think the PS5, obviously, that could have been a PC game too, because I think it was supposed to be, and it would probably look just as good. But I think this being tailored and catered to now being a PS5 exclusive, I think a lot of people are going to look at that and try to compare it to something that Microsoft has, and they're really all they're going to have is that Gears 5 for optimize that makes it, what runs better, because we on the on the Series X, the Gears 5 is going to have more customization and as well as more graphical options than the PC version even. So hopefully this is a showcase that kind of puts the Series X on the map of what it really can do, because it's going to also have 4K 120 in the versus mode, which I'm going to try out as well. And then that Demon Souls is going to be what puts. I mean, I think Spider-Man would look nice, but it's not going to look as nice. It's just going to look like Spider-Man with a higher resolution. So it's not much more they can do there to kind of make it look better. I think Demon Souls is going to be the experience that's going to be looking graphically more impressive as time goes on versus Miles Morales. So I think those are going to be the two heavyweights that kind of compare to each other, and we have gotten options and seen at least footage of both of those. At least I have. And Gears 5 looks really good. Even though they like big bulky characters, I really hate the design of their characters. But it looks really good. It looks really, really good. There is, like, they kind of talk about the shadow quality and all that extra stuff, but really once you put the whole picture together, it's just like a better experience. And then the same thing to go with Demon Souls, they kind of make a lot of smaller changes to make a bigger change in how that looks. I guess kind of you guys talk to me about if you've seen anything, if you've seen the differences between Gears 5 on the PS, running on the Xbox Series X, and if you have seen Demon Souls, and like what kind of popped out to you when you kind of first saw it, if you've seen it.
Yeah, I for Gears I haven't seen as much, but I've seen like a couple like tweets and announcements about it, like the comparisons with the like soft contact shadows and things like that. And it looks good.
Mm-hmm.
I played, me and you played a little bit of it when it came out, but I was playing it like on the Series S, so it may have been like a really graphically impressive game, but for me, it didn't leave that impression. But looking at the new screenshots and things like that, what they have planned, it looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to give it a try and experience it, because it would be nice to play Gears at 60 at a higher resolution, because it's already a slow, clunky game, so that 60 is hopefully gonna help out.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, we'll see. I think that it's a good showcase, because Gears has always been a not a system seller, but a graphical, I guess, benchmark for some systems.
Yeah, I think so.
Because they use a lot of. I don't know if this one is using the Unreal Engine, but it used to use the Unreal Engine, and they were pushing a lot of graphical fidelity and technology. As for Demon Souls and Spider-Man, they look really good. For me, I guess it's just those have always been like the shorter, 2-3 minute like previews, and not just like the full thing that Microsoft has done, where you can see, this is when we boot up the system, run the game, and switching between the games and going through the settings. Um, so it hasn't made much of a impression, I guess, to compare it to, because Spider-Man, like it's always looked good in the trailer, but I guess they haven't highlighted the big upgrades as Microsoft has. But
Mm-hmm.
obviously, the games just look really, really good. When it comes down to it, are they as technically advanced as something like Gears 5? Maybe not, but they look artistically better, and so that's what Sony is able to leverage in a sense. Because as seeing people talking about like ray tracing, Demon Souls doesn't have it, or Spider-Man does, but it's not as high quality as Gears. But at the end of the day, it won't matter if you don't notice it, because that's at the end of the day, it does come down to artistic style, and if they have a better looking style, then it's going to look better. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Have you seen anything about Demon Souls or Gears, Jalen?
Nah, I ain't seen nothing about it. I just been hearing Josh's opinion about Demon Souls. Um, that's the only
Yeah,
thing I had on my radar.
yeah, we gonna get into that, but yeah, I think those are gonna be those benchmarks that kind of showcase what the Series X and the PS5 can do for now. Obviously, there's more stuff down the pipeline. Watch Dogs Legion may be another one of those games because it's going to actually have ray tracing. It's going to be very similar to these very expensive 3090s, 3080s experiences. So we want to see how that stacks up against the PC. So keep it locked to Digital Foundry, not my page, but Digital Foundry, and they'll probably walk you through how it looks and kind of what you're really getting for that $500. Because honestly, both of these consoles are pushing some really crazy stuff for the price that they're charging. Really, honestly, but moving forward, I guess the series. I kind of wanted to talk about that. I mean, still keeping in the same realm of PS5 versus PS Series X. The DualSense, I know we already kind of touched on it, versus the Series X's controller. I guess I want to pose a question. Do you feel like, because I'm not sure if you've seen anything about it, Jalen, but do you guys feel like they kind of had a misstep because of how much people are talking about the DualSense and not the Series X new controller?
Um, I don't know. It depends because Rumble is something that I guess a lot of people miss. How to put it? I've always grown up with playing console games, and I've always had like Rumble and stuff in the controller, so I'm used to it. So when I play it on like PC and certain games don't have Rumble, it feels weird. Like we play Destiny, and you get used to the feeling of it, like when you shoot and things like that. But if I jump over to PC, that Rumble wasn't enabled in the same way, so it felt weird trying to play, um, multiplayer or online because I didn't have that same feedback. And so a lot of people don't even use it. And so I think the Series X controller as a utility, like it's always going to be a good controller. Like you just take it, plug it into your computer, plug it into your Mac, plug it into your iPhone, or connect it to your iPhone, and it's always going to work. So I think utility wise, it might be the better controller because
Mhm.
you're going to have all the features working on every system. Whereas the PS5, when you're connected to the PS5, is going to have the haptic feedback, which is really strong and intense, but you can calibrate it where it can ramp up a lot more naturally or whatever. But I think that's only going to be effective when you're using it on the PS5. So I think it's going to be nice to feel, and people are going to get used to it, especially like you playing Call of Duty and stuff. But I don't know if it's gonna change the world. Put it that way. But I think that maybe Microsoft could have done more with their controller because their whole stance is we already have quote unquote the best controller, so let's make it better. And really, they just made like small improvements to make
Right.
it better, but they didn't try to like create a new best controller. They just improved on what was already good.
Which is true because they do have a really good controller, and even whatever the DualSense can do, I really don't like the dual sided thumbstick layout. I really prefer the top left, bottom right approach because it always makes me feel like I have more precision. Um,
Yeah, and I still don't like the flat buttons on the PlayStation, like
yeah,
especially the D-pad.
yeah. So there is still that understanding that the DualSense has its flaws, but I think the DualSense is probably the more futuristic or more new experience kind of approach, and that's why people are talking about it. But if the haptic feedbacks are as good as they say they are, maybe that's something that Xbox explores down the line where they kind of introduce a new controller that does have those features, but they still keep everything compatible. That's one thing I don't like
Yeah,
about the DualSense is how it can't play PS4 games, even though these haptic feedback features. I'm not expecting you to go in and kind of do it, but it has the same button layout, so you should be able to play PS4 games and backwards compatibility with your PS5 DualSense, and that's just I feel like that's just a mishap on their end to kind of force you to get the DualSense, even though you know it works with the PS3. It'll work fine on a PS3 control on a PS3, but it won't work on a PS4. It's like they kind of deliberately did that to kind of force people to move on. So,
Yeah. I think, like you said, it's probably the more interesting controller, and I think in the future Microsoft will do something like the Series 3 Elite or whatever. Um, they will probably adopt that because with the Elite controller they have the three settings for your
triggers.
triggers,
Mm-hmm.
and I really like that on that system, and that's something that they could implement in another version of the series Elite controller. But maybe it's just like expensive. I don't know how much the DualSense is out of box, but it's like $60-$70.
It's
So
70, yeah, $70.
yeah, it's probably expensive to implement that in the controller.
Yeah, and with all those new features, I really think. I mean, I guess before I move on, Jalen, did you have anything to add? Because I'm still talking about the dual sense, but not really in the same sense.
Oh, we can say that I don't like the light, and I wish they'd get rid of putting the light on the controller.
Are you talking about the thing that drained the batteries?
Yeah. That's what I was going to talk about. Are people sleeping on the the two AA batteries? Are people sleeping on the ability to swap those out? Because I feel like people are. What do you guys think about that? Like swapping batteries out?
Bump that.
I still prefer the rechargeable one, but I've never like broken my PlayStation controller, but not being able to take out the battery or replace it is an issue, I think. Especially if you want to keep your controller for a long time. Like I have like two Xbox controllers, and I can usually switch out the battery if they get bad. Um, it's just too good for the longevity because the batteries are going to get worse over time.
Deteriorate.
Yeah.
And you said bump that, right, Jalen?
Yeah, to be honest with you, bro, like I'm always close enough to my PS4 where I'm like, if I had to categorize what I would want in a controller, or not how I would prefer the power source, I should say, the preferred power source, I'll take a rechargeable battery. Um, of course, manufacturer type stuff, not those Nyko plug and play type, you know what I'm saying, joints, because they die like in 2 weeks. But rechargeable, corded, AA. I do it in that way just because the whole thing of having AA batteries is annoying itself. Um, I feel like those, especially the PS4 controllers, I can attest to them because I have one. I feel like some days, or not some days, some periods it lasts longer than others when it hasn't been like charging and stuff like that. Of course, it's probably inconsistency with my like memory, but like I haven't really had any issues with my PS4 controller. I kind of got used to it dying kind of quick, but I still rather prefer that than all the times I was replacing batteries in the Xbox 360 controller or trying to take out battery packs and charge it when I'm using it. Just those sorts of things. Like I deal with the battery issues. Like I'd much rather deal with that issue than deal with anything else. Like,
Well, yeah, I would hate to like keep going and changing out the actual AA batteries like I used to do with the 360 because the 360 controller would go through batteries in a week. But having a rechargeable option like to come with it, so I think the one that's just came with the rechargeable pack in the controller, I think. So I didn't have to worry about the AA batteries, but I still think the PS4 implementation is not good enough because my controller is always on like one bar, even though I feel like it's connected all the time.
Yes.
It's never fully charged, and it's gonna, you know, pop up like a battery low or whatever. And two reasons why is it doesn't fully charge overnight when it's plugged in because the PS4 turns off charging after like an hour or 3 hours. So it's not going to fully charge your controller. So when you get up, it's going to have to still be plugged in order to get fully charged.
I
Whereas
thought in
I
rest
never have,
mode it do charge it up though.
it stops after a certain amount of time.
I ain't never know that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
supposed to be efficient enough to be charged in that time frame, but sometimes it just doesn't.
Yeah, I don't feel
Uh,
like it does. Whereas my 360 controller, I mean, not 360, Xbox controller, I feel like I never have to worry about the battery. Like once every two weeks, especially if I'm playing every day, I gotta charge it. But it's never low on the daily basis. Whereas PS4, every day I have to charge it, and it's just annoying. And they really could just get rid of that by get rid of this big old light on the controller and not wasting battery.
Right. Now, I am on the other side of that. I prefer the efficiency of double A, but I also like the option that I can go and get rechargeable packs. And I don't have to just rely on the ability of my inside pack of the charger of the controller to stay consistent, because I can get 4 hours, I can get 7 hours, but it's always in between that with the PS4 controller. But it's before it dies, and it's always never the same. Ones die faster than others, and I don't enjoy that experience of having to kind of hurry up, and because there's been plenty of times where I will literally just be on the conversation with y'all, and my controller would just die in the middle of the game because I wasn't paying attention to the battery, indicator, or if it's a battery low, and then 20 minutes later it's gone. So my experience with Xbox is I can literally let that thing sit for 3-4 weeks, honestly, because I play it less, but I also play it in more spurts than I do on the PlayStation 4. So I see the charge hold that it has. I see the ability to keep a charge hold for over a long period of time while it sits there. If I was to let my PS4 controller sit for a week and turn it on, for some reason it's not going to be at the same part at where it was when I turned it on. It's going to deteriorate as if it wasn't charging and it needs to charge. So that deterioration for me was the problem. This, on the other hand, seems as if it's more efficient in my eyes. I mean, I went out and bought like a 20 pack of rechargeable batteries, and I have two of the rechargeable things that I use. But I also have I could go out and buy. I have a rechargeable pack for my Elite controller, and either way it goes, if my Elite controller dies in the middle of a session, I could throw rechargeable batteries in there and I can continue to go, and I don't have to wait for it to charge. So I like the experience of having the ability to choose. Now, would it be better for you, or maybe it probably would, but the better implementation is probably throw in a rechargeable pack, but allow the casing to come off the back and allow for batteries to be put in. So maybe they charge you an extra $10, but you actually get the rechargeable pack as well as the cord in the box. And that way you still get the option, and it's not just going to continuously deteriorate over time and you just have to replace the entire controller. That's my gripe with people saying that it's better, because I don't think it's better. Just like a phone batteries, I don't think it's better. I used to love that I could take my old battery out and put a new one in, and it kind of continue to work. And people used to have swappable batteries in their pockets, stuff like that. I liked before. I understand that batteries are getting more efficient and faster and better, but at the same time, the amount of time that you use a controller over 7 years versus your phone over 2, there's a difference there. I mean, if my controller can last as long as I can in a gaming session, and it's going to last my continuation of the entire process of a system, why not? Because it's going to be more for the prolonging of that game, and the prolonging of that controller, as well as it gives me the option to throw in rechargeable. So that would be my defense in regards to the AA batteries. But I do understand the gripe of it's 2020 and we still got AA batteries, but I still feel like there is a value in that than it is to just kind of cut it off completely.
No, I get that. I mean, it's COVID-19, 20. Not just like, nah, but nah. I get that. I mean, if you could take it out and buy like a better battery or something like that, or I mean that option. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to the option. I think I always feel like options are good when you like what's the word you use, pigeonhole somebody into something like Nintendo do. Um,
And they don't
I
believe in
feel like
options.
clearly not. I feel like whenever you pigeonhole somebody into something, that's not like good. So if they allow like a removable back or something, so you can buy another PS4 controller battery or something like that, I feel like that's fine. I'm still wouldn't be a I only I guess I'm thinking more like on the technical standpoint of how they would do something like that without it feeling like a battery pack that's but take AA batteries at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, they
But
usually can still recharge it through this Type C port, so you don't have to necessarily take it out or sit it on something. But they do have because they come with most controllers come with the prongs to sit down on top of something where it'll charge the controller for you. So the prongs on the PS4 control on the PS DualSense, it's right on the top, and you can charge it from there, or you can charge it from the Type C to charge that internal battery. But also Xbox has those battery packs where you can charge it from the micro C port, so you don't have to take it out to like charge it or sit it on anything. You could just literally charge it as you're playing as well. So it has those abilities to do that, but then you just get the ability to also pop the cap off and take it out if you need to and put something else in there. But I get what you're saying though. It's like it's giving them access maybe that they don't need, but I think access is better than not.
what I was finna say, as far as like, I don't got an Xbox, so I can't speak on it. But I was saying like, if you want to, I know like in the 360, you was able to take the thing out, the battery pack, or and just put AA batteries in there if you wanted to, or the
Mhm.
Xbox One. I mean, um, but I don't know if you could be able to incorporate something that would allow for the OEM battery packs type things that come with the PS4, or yeah, that comes built into the PS4, and then put just standalone like AA batteries or something in there. I'm just not a fan of AA batteries. Period. I mean, I'm a fan of options and stuff, but I feel like obviously we buy stuff for a means to an end, but we don't think about it. Whereas like AA batteries, you buy those thinking about like when I buy AA batteries, and I mean this could be from childhood stuff. Like I knew my time was limited to play the game or whatever, like on my Game Boy Advance. Likewise with the 360 controllers, like you're not gonna get that much time out of it, and batteries cost so much where you don't want to keep buying them. Just you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of an added expense or whatever.
I don't know what they did with these controllers, but the efficiency is significantly better. Maybe I don't play as many games as I used to as a kid, or I don't just. But they cut off at a certain amount of time if they're idling, so it's not just on. They have like a lot of stuff in it where they just feel like the longevity of them because they last so long. I don't expect them to, but literally, if I turn this controller on right now, I probably still have more than half my bar, and I haven't swapped them in 3 weeks. And I've been playing Watchdog Legions, and I've been playing other games on it, so I expect it to be draining it now more than I used to. But honestly, if I waited a long period of time and came back to it, the the amount of charge that it still holds, and that's why I like them. But it's old school, and I get it. And that's why I'm not opposed to them like doing away with. I'm opposed to them doing away with it. I'm not opposed to them adding additional, packs to the controllers that come with it, so that you could charge it and recharge it with that, and they kind of give you the rechargeable battery in the box when you buy a new controller, because that will give them, that gives people the ability to choose how they want to really game, versus kind of forcing people to either buy another battery rechargeable pack to kind of bridge the gap between being able to recharge on the go and not. So um, that's what I wanted to kind of not overthink and like not forget about, because I do enjoy the Xbox controller, and I do enjoy it more than the PS4 controller. maybe the DualSense will do better, but with all that extra stuff that they're putting into it, that battery probably is going to be even worse. I don't want that to be the case, but it could be the worst. I know that's a big gripe that I had before, so that they put a big old fan in the system and made it way spacious so they can get much airflow in. So I'm pretty sure they thought about the DualSense before they did it and like how long it actually can play. So I'm expecting better results. But we'll see. We'll see with all that haptic feedback. We'll see. I think the last thing I want to talk about with the controller, the PS5 and the series. Well, I think that was it really, because I didn't have anything else that compared the two. I know we talked about quality of the games. We talked about the controller, the unboxing experience, how they look. Yeah, but I think that's pretty much it. Let's just talk about Demon Souls here. Seeing how we only got 20 minutes. So Demon Souls. Demon Souls, me and Josh had a very, I wouldn't say it wasn't a debate, nor was it it was just a conversation. But the conversation was very, I don't know, I would call it productive, because it was like a lot of stuff was talked about.
Man, y'all blew my phone up. I'm in class. I got 80 messages in line. I'm looking like, bro, what happened? My Apple Watch is going crazy. I'm like, bro, what is going on? I'm like, it's probably my group chat or something, like from my class, maybe. I'm like, we are here. I go to look at my phone. It's a bunch of messages from mine. I'm like, man, what these jokers talking about?
We were talking about making a $70 decision. Let me start from my standpoint of Demon Souls and like the Souls games. I didn't enjoy the games that much. I played Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, Dark Souls 2. I didn't beat. I beat Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne. I got to Sekiro's last boss and just stopped. And I really enjoyed Dark Souls 3 for one reason and one reason only. I wanted to play as Havel, and I just cosplayed. So, literally, I did no side quests. I literally did nothing interesting in that game outside of go find Havel and whoop him, take his armor, and then decide to buff my stats until I could mid-roll or fast roll with the full set on. And I enjoyed that. That really made me happy. It was an accomplishment I wanted to do, and I did it. But Demon Souls was the same. Demon Souls did not interest me at all, and I was going to ignore it. But then that trailer dropped with the new gameplay, and it seemed as if, because I tried to go back and play Dark Souls after I beat Dark Souls 3, and I just couldn't get into it. Obviously, Havel was in there. He whooped me at the bottom of those stairs, but it was just too old at that point. I couldn't go back in and appreciate for what it was, because it just felt too dated. Demon Souls, best of my knowledge, it seems very similar, and Josh has told me multiple times it is, except that it's like a little difference and it doesn't have Havel. I was going to try to play it and try to appreciate the world and try to see if what Blue Point did was, they added, the 8 diagonal roll. They added things like just quality of life things. The camera is better. It doesn't just get caught behind stuff. So quality of life improvements that will probably bring it to the 20th century. Or is it 21st century? No, it's 20. I don't know. Whatever century in, it brings up to right now. And I just.
Bro, you don't know what century we in?
No, not off the back of my head.
Is it it's always 21st until 2100? So
okay, so we in the 21st century. So
hopefully
21st century, and yeah, just bring it up to date. So I just wanted to see what I wanted to play it. I wanted to see how it looked. I wanted to see it. So I asked Josh about it, and then I'm gonna let Josh explain his side of the story.
I mean, first I want to ask Jalen because you you might have touched Demon Souls, but you didn't like play it a lot, right?
And I seen that freaking phalanx at the beginning of the game and the little mind flayer thingy that, like, I don't know what they is, bro. They impale you.
So you liked Dark Souls, but you didn't want to play Demon Souls. Is there any reason why?
I mean, I don't trust the. I like Dark Souls as a series. Dark Souls 1, I think the world is fine, but I don't like the game. Um,
Mhm.
because of the. I mean, I'm critical on like little, like clipping, little weird stuff happening,
Mhm.
backstabs. When you backstab somebody from the side, they reset their position. They be like, all right, bro, you got me. Go ahead and stab me on my back. Like, that's dumb.
Mhm.
It was goofy.
So, um, I guess my opinion for Demon Souls was so strong because it was the first Souls game that I played, and like remembering it, like I enjoyed it. It was a fun game. It had a bunch of issues, but it was fun because it was the first game like that I played where you can go online and fight people, but you can also just like gank people and hide around a corner with a poison spell and then poison them or make them break all their armor and stuff like that. So it was fun to play. But it wasn't until Dark Souls where they actually fixed a bunch of that broken stuff and actually made it into a really good game. And that's when FromSoft got popular. That's when Dark Souls got popular. People started to care about those sort of games. It wasn't because Demon Souls was niche, because it was on the PlayStation. It was on the PlayStation Greatest Hits. It was made by SIE. I forget which Sony studio worked on it, but like it had the pedigree behind it. It just people didn't play it or didn't like it when they played it. And with the remaster, like it looks good and they're putting some improvements in there, but they're not changing the game. And that's for my thing is like if you didn't like you said, Deontay, you didn't like Dark Souls. I was just cautioning you to know that they're not changing the game. This is not some big, first party Sony studio ain't gonna have a good story or anything like that. It's gonna be Dark Souls with good graphics. And if you don't like Dark Souls 3 with its graphics being good at the time or Sekiro having good graphics at the time, then the game itself might not convince you because they're not actually doing a lot to change the core of the game. Um, and I don't know. I was just thinking about all the old stuff in Demon Souls that are actual problems. Like explain the world tendency system. And I remember before the game came out, Shuhei Yoshida, who was the old president of PlayStation, he they didn't want to bring Demon Souls to the US because he said the game was trash. Which is why they
So,
had him announce the Demon Souls remaster as like a joke because he thought it was trash in the beginning, but Dark Souls later popped off and now it's one of most anticipated games ever. But the game itself hasn't changed, and I guess I was just saying, what do you see in it gameplay wise that's interesting? Because the only thing that is, in my opinion, changed are the graphics, and which it looks good, and I would play it, but I've played it more than 6 times now, so I'm not interested in going back and having the same experience.
Well, they have fracture mode, Josh, so you can play it in reverse if you really wanted to. But uh, I
I
just
played
say
it without leveling up. I don't. Oh, okay.
we already know you a try hard. Ain't nobody here for that. I said because I never played. I never, like I said, I never beat Dark Souls. I wouldn't say I just couldn't jump into it. I played the first level. Literally, that's it. The reason I played Dark Souls 3, it wasn't at the beginning because I found Havel set. It was because I put in an extra 40 hours doing the Havel portion. I think it was like 30 or something hours where I was just
Mhm.
doing Havel. But I didn't beat Dark Souls 3 solely because I had the Havel set and I was doing it. I got the Havel set after, and that's what I really remembered and enjoyed about the game. I never said that the other portions were bad. I just said I played that portion more because I just enjoy grinding, and when I can find a grind for something, I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I never said I didn't like how that game was set up. I liked it when we talked about Dark Souls before. Dark Souls was always fun to me because it felt like I was progressing a world, and always felt like I was just, it was always like, as Jalen put it, it was always multiple ways to skin a cat. You don't have to do it in one way. And that's why I kept asking you about magic and how magic works. I know you said it was item based, but they said basically they left it broken. So maybe I want to run through with a magic character and get to the end and kind of just be OP. Maybe that's something that interests me because that is what I like to do. I like to overpower my character and just have fun in the world. Um, so when you were talking about it, it seemed like you were kind of jaded. You kind of was just like, no, don't buy it because Dark Souls is better. And I get that because Dark Souls may be better, but I don't care to go through Dark Souls in that, format. Obviously, I don't think the game is worth $70 because it's basically the same. I think it's worth 50 or maybe even 47. But that was what my target was, to buy the game at that price anyway. So I wasn't like trying to spend more than that. And that's where I was kind of talking about. I was just kind of like, I was coming from that perspective of maybe there's something in this game because it's kind of similar to Dark Souls that I will enjoy. Because I know you said Dark Souls 3 and Dark Souls 1 are kind of similar more than Dark Souls 2. And that I enjoyed at least Dark Souls progression and how they progressed the story and how they kind of did the worlds, or like did the areas. I wouldn't say the world, but the areas. And Dark Souls 1 seemed very similar to that. I just didn't like how it looked. The presentation was just at that point disgusting to me. I just like, no, I'm not going to play this in 2019 because I think that's when I was trying to play it. I was like, I'm just not going to play this. It doesn't look fun. It doesn't. It's not that it didn't look fun. I would say it didn't look appeasing to the eye. I was just like, no, I don't even want to cosplay in this. So that's when I just said no. But
So
because
I
they're
guess
bringing it into
my
it,
question is, if it looks good but you don't like the gameplay, does that make a difference? Because you
yes,
you
because I
might have
didn't
liked
like the
the
gameplay
gameplay
of
of.
Uncharted. I didn't like the gameplay of um
Okay.
I didn't like the gameplay uh of Last of Us, but it looked good and the story was there. So it was like, yes, that matters. I think it does. That's a point in a lot of different games that I played, that where if it didn't look graphically appealing, I probably wouldn't have beat it.
Well,
Um
I guess that solves it because for me, it's the opposite. Like, I don't care if the game looks good if the gameplay is not interesting because I can look at a picture for 40 hours, but that would be boring. So
Bro,
I
you
want to
saw
be
how I was
engaged.
doing Xenoblade. Xenoblade 2 made my top list, and I barely could get through it because it's so ugly. I just couldn't do it. I was just like, this game is legit just ugly. And
Yeah, so it's ugly,
but
but is
the
it fun?
gameplay was fun, right? So I can hit the medium, but sometimes I would not. I would be lying if I said graphical, fidelity and graphics didn't play a role in me beating something and not. You know, I would be
Hmm.
lying to myself because that's not the case. Uh,
I guess that I mean that solves it because only point I wanted to stress is Demon Souls gameplay is fun. Like if you like you play with Havel and you want to use a big sword, you will have that equivalent. Like you can have your heavy armor and you can swing your big sword and you can shoot magic. Um, Demon Souls is just at its basic form. It's just Dark Souls gameplay. It doesn't have the world. It doesn't have the level progression. Like Demon Souls has actual levels. So you go to level one
mhm,
and you beat level one and you leave level one and go back to the base and teleport to level two like you did in Bloodborne. So it's
yeah,
not like a big connected world. It's just levels. And so it's a just more simplistic game overall in design. And on top of that, it has a bunch of weird systems. Like it has a luck stat, and you level up your luck stat to increase your drop rates. But if you don't do that when you're farming the rare materials, you're gonna have a hard time because got low drop rates, and that's just a bad system. That's something that they should have changed, but they didn't. And so it's going to be a struggle playing it, but it's going to look pretty. So if that is enough, then that's okay. I'm just saying that if you want to spend your time
Well, you
enjoying like the bosses or the gameplay or even the multiplayer, you got 4 other Dark Souls like games to choose from for that type of stuff.
but yeah, me and you experience games differently. You experience it for sometimes you are more in enticed by you know the the systems in the game and like
Yeah,
how
it is an
stuff
RPG.
yeah how stuff is managed. But remember when I played Dark Souls 3, I didn't do any magic. I literally
I
played
didn't
that
know that.
game
But I
like
mean, uh-huh.
it was just a stick, not a stick fighter, but it was kind of just like a Devil May Cry game or some sort. I never did nothing different. I continuously played with one sword. I continuously
Yeah,
played with one. It's I
that's
understand
fine
your breadth of like
because Dark Souls
content.
is built for that. It's RPG. Like you put your stats in strength and don't worry about anything else. Like that's a legitimate build. But you can't play Dark Souls and expect a cohesive story that the NPCs are going to tell you. And so, like, if you're going into Demon Souls expecting a story, somebody should probably warn you that it doesn't have a story that you're going to get like Uncharted
Yeah,
or
but
even
you was my story at that point. Remember, I was asking you questions about how that one world was connected. How we went back to the first shrine, or I forget the first. Like, remember, I was
yeah,
asking
yeah,
y'all
yes.
questions, and
And guess what?
but Demon Souls, so I can still
Demon
ask those
Souls has less
questions.
story. It has less.
But I can still ask questions if I'm confused on stuff, right? You ain't cutting me off. Is that what you're saying? If I play this game,
I'm just saying ain't gonna be a lot of answers.
man, you hear this man? He
Man, y'all
basically tried
dumb.
to tell me not to get it. He's
All
warning me.
right.
I think what he's
I ain't
saying
gonna be
is
able to
like,
tell you what happened in the ending or anything like that. I can help, but I'm just saying that it doesn't have a story. Like there are things that I can tell you about the world, but doesn't have a story that's beginning, middle, and end. Like after this happened, because that's just not how it was designed. So you're going in for the RPG mechanics, and that's why it's fun, and you're going in for the graphics,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have that other stuff that you enjoy. Like it has the graphics, but it doesn't have the story.
Okay. So are you okay? So um. So okay. So I guess I would have to experience it and kind of go through it and then kind of talk to you about it because at the I guess I get what you're saying though because I understand it. You think that problem well you know that it's not that compelling of a game. So but I feel like you had to have some type of enjoyment for playing it 6 times. So I mean,
I said I enjoyed it, and yeah, so the things I liked about it, like I said, is the gameplay is fun. Like it's the Dark Souls gameplay. It's the first time that you played it, and Demon Souls, even though it has a lot of like weird or broken systems, it was fun at the time.
mhm.
But going back to it and comparing it to its exact, you know, not copy,
Successor.
but its successor that does the same thing but without the same issues, then it's a clearer choice for me. But I'm not saying that you shouldn't play it or you should never play it. But I'm just saying that if you're looking for a game to convince you to like Dark Souls, don't start with Demon Souls.
Not the
Just like
not the remake.
if you're trying to get
So
into Kingdom Hearts,
uh-huh.
don't go and play one of the weird DS
But
games
you would
as your
tell me
first
to play
game.
Final Fantasy 7 remake. Would have
Yes, but
so what's the
remember, with Kingdom
difference?
Hearts, Jalen told you to start at 1. I'd said, do not play Kingdom Hearts 1.
Man, I told him to
every
start at 1
day.
because of the story.
And then I said, do not play the Chain of
Memories.
Memories. Do not play these games. Start at 2, and you didn't do that, and you didn't enjoy them.
Well,
Final Fantasy is different because it doesn't have all these issues and barriers to get into, other than like, yeah, there are some story things that you should probably know, but
mhm.
that it has good gameplay, it has good graphics, and it has a good story. So it's kind of a real easy recommendation.
So what
Yeah.
you saying is basically the game is faulty. It has deficiencies. It has dated mechanics that would just be frustrating to play
Data
unless they fix
mechanics
those
that they
things.
didn't change, and they charging $70. That's all.
So objectively, no, I mean I get what you're saying. I mean objectively, the game has dated mechanics. You paying more money for it, and these mechanics don't work. They're objectively bad. They were removed for a reason. It's a reason why they didn't continue them.
Yeah.
Like the world tendency stuff. That's what he's talking about. Yeah. But I guess it's more so if you never played Demon Souls, this is the definitive way to play it, in my opinion. So if I wanted to ever play Demon Souls, I would still play this one. I wouldn't go back and buy that one for the PS3 to
Yeah,
play it. So it
that's
would
true.
still be the one I would play. Like I wouldn't go back and play Final Fantasy VII. I would go back and play Final Fantasy VII Remake, even though that's two different experiences entirely. So I guess I kind of treat it in my mind that way because I don't feel like the experience will be the same as you experienced it when you first played it because they went through and they still updated some things. It's not as if they didn't change anything, but they didn't want to change the
They didn't
core
change the important
game.
stuff.
They didn't change the core of the game. They changed the fact that they wanted to modernize it, but they didn't want to change the core. That they added animations to the weapons. They changed how certain things played. So this is still going to be the
It is
definitive
the
version to
definitive
play.
edition of the game. Um, but I'm saying that the things that they added are good. Like, I can't lie, the game looks really good, and having the good animations is great. That doesn't change the game. So if you're playing multiplayer and the person lags, he's still gonna lag backstab you because that's just how the game works. The animation is gonna look good, but he's still gonna teleport across
Well,
the room and stab you in the back.
that's
So it don't
yeah,
matter.
that's true, but I'm pretty sure that lag may not be there, but it may still be some janky movements. It might still be some weird things popping because Dark Souls 3 was still that way, but Blue Point is a little bit different. I think that they are more keen to how online services work, but maybe they're not. I just think that they have more of a that background when it comes to how to implement online gameplay versus From Software, because From Software never got it right. So I never expect them to get it right,
Hmm.
and at least Bluepoint has a chance to make it right because they even with a remaster of Dark Souls, it wasn't right. So it seems as if they will never understand how to do it. So maybe Bluepoint can come in and kind of make it work properly, make it make sense, and kind of make it where again that definitive version. I feel like they put enough effort into it for me to say, okay, I will try it, and I can make up my decision at that point of end for the gameplay. And I think I'm gonna be pleasantly surprised if I enjoy some of the things, but maybe I might be wrong. Maybe I just won't enjoy it simply because of again there's no way you can't polish a turd and try to make it something else. If it's not if it's not good, it's not good. But I don't think that's what you're kind of discussing right now. We're not discussing whether or not it's good or not. We're discussing what is better, what is a better version of it. So
Yeah,
I
kind
think
of.
that's what you're kind of getting at. It's like you can have a better experience here, but this is not a bad one. This is a great starting point, but the better experience is still out there, and you probably could do it for cheaper. And that's what I kind of get, and that's why I'm saying, let me play the definitive edition. Let me make my decision on that game in general, um, and we go from there.
Yeah. I guess the last thing I say is I guess I do also think about y- y'all's, I guess, opinion or like particular taste with certain games. Because like if I know that Jalen doesn't like anime games or something,
Mhm.
but I enjoy Xenoblade 3 or whatever, I'm not going to recommend it to him because I know this is not necessarily what he likes. And so when it comes to Demon Souls and what you've already played, and if I feel like you've played the best version of what From Software has designed, and the things that you don't like about those games are in abundance in Demon Souls, then why would I recommend Demon Souls? Because it has all this stuff that you don't like.
Right.
So I guess that, but I mean, at the end of the day, you can play it, like you said, decide if you like it or not. But I was just saying it's for me, it's not worth that investment right now to play
Okay.
it. Like if we didn't have anything to play, like we all on PS5, it's on sale, we gonna play through it together like we did Demon Soul. I mean Bloodborne. Then yeah, at least in that way you have the co-op experience to get you to play it. But just playing through it by yourself, it's kind of a bigger, harder sell to somebody who's not into that style. You know.
Game. Yeah. Okay. Well, PNC, like I said, it was a conversation, people, not a debate. We're just having conversation about what we like, what we don't like, and that was it. But we are over in time, unfortunately. So what I'm gonna do is just wrap it up here. But yeah, appreciate you guys listening. Again, this I'm gonna put this one up on YouTube, and again, there's plenty of other ways you can listen to it and experience it. So appreciate you guys listening as usual, and we will talk to you guys in the next podcast. This is the House of Wolves podcast. Peace.